Hey everybody, Ashley here. Sorry, my hair's a little greasy at the moment. I just got back from the gym, so it's still a little sweaty, and that's my not so subtle way of segueing into today's topic, talking about being confident with my hearing loss and being comfortable with exposing my Phonak hearing aid. This part of the journey is not an easy one, and it's still very much a work in progress. I think that I would say working out and playing sports, soccer specifically, that's always been kind of one of those spaces that felt like a safe haven for me. I think that when you're playing sports and in that environment, everybody's objective is kind of the same. Everybody ideally wants to win, and you kind of have one focus. And I think that when you're in a work environment and school environment, sometimes there's other factors that come into play, and it's a lot easier to notice those pressures of looking a certain way or acting a certain way. In those environments, it's always been a little bit more challenging for me to be confident and comfortable, with my hearing loss and my Phonak hearing aid. But I think that, a large part of what I was doing last year was allowing myself the space to be more confident with my hearing loss and to be comfortable with others, knowing my story and the struggles that I've dealt with as a result of it. And so I came into this new slate of meeting all new people that I never met before. And so, nobody had any idea of my past or my former experiences. And so I think that right off the bat, I was able to be open about my hearing loss, and nobody treated me any differently. And that was a really nice environment to walk into. I think being on the road, we were all in these vulnerable situations, not knowing anybody, not being in a place that we were comfortable with. And so, they treated me as if I was any other person. I was not perceived to fit any of those stereotypes that sometimes we get as a deaf and hard of hearing community. And so that gave me this newfound comfort and confidence in who I am, and felt a lot more comfortable about wearing my hair up around that group of people and knowing that, they saw something in me. And so as I continued to travel and meet other new people, they could see from the outside that these, other people didn't see anything completely out of the ordinary in me, and they valued my perspective. And actually, I started working with an employer last year who, for a long time I didn't check that box of, having a disability on the employer, profile. That I think that despite people saying they don't discriminate, it's still very much a thing. But with this employer, I decided that from the get-go, I wanted them to know about, my passion project and, working with Hearing Like Me and some of these other, hearing loss communities where that was going to be a big part of me. And they, actually said that was part of the reason they chose to hire me, was because of the work ethic that I built up as a result of my hearing loss and my ability to offer a different perspective that somebody else may not have, and my attention to detail. And so that was kind of another pinpoint for me that just helped me to be more comfortable in sharing my story and exposing my truth. I think that when I was younger, I was more aware of people, staring at me because I was a kid with hearing aids, and most people at that point, people who saw other people with hearing aids, were of an older age. And so now I'm finally allowing myself to be confident and comfortable in what I have to offer as, a direct result of my hearing loss. And there's a quote by Polonius that I sort of, kind of go by that says, "To thine own self be true." And that's something I've kind of been, aspiring towards, over the last couple of years as I've, come further along in my hearing loss journey. And I hope that everybody else out there can do the same. So yeah, thank you for listening. If you have any comments, questions, ideas about topics you want to hear, comment below. Thank you so much for watching.